Alright, the last time we stopped in a swamp, resting very uncomfortably, and now it's also hot, and we have used up half of our water supplies. However, there is a forest nearby with a single dwelling. I'm dying to know who lives there, so against my better judgment, I'll move the party there. Let's assume that the forest is of average density. This halves our movement rate. Thus, moving into the forest hex takes 2 hours. In the adjacent hexes we have mountains, more forest and scrubland, with the forest also having a single dwelling. Before I check who lives in the forest, I have to adjudicate the effects of weather. 2 hours have gone by, and the temperature is over 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is enough to lose FP for regular humans. Thus, according to the rules from page 434, I have to make 4 HT rolls for each character, penalized for encumbrance. As you can see, the priestesses really should get some rest, they both lost 3 FP. Now let's actually see who lives in the forest the party just moved to. To do that, I'll use the random monster encounter tables, but will reroll any non-sapient creatures and other creatures that do not have dwellings. When using the X2 procedure, you have to roll on the monster rarity table first. I rolled d20 on the Borderlands column and get a 20, which results in a rare monster. I actually made a regional encounter table via my own arcane methods. Let's roll d20 on the rare column. I get 11, ground weresloth. That's something. This lycanthrope is from the other were right here, article from Dragon Magazine 40. So I guess we have a reclusive lycanthrope living in the forest. Wait, the AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide says that the dwelling may house from 1 to 12 people. The appearance numbers for ground weresloths are 1 to 10, so let's roll a d10. I got a 1, so this is just a singular weresloth. The party clearly cannot keep going in this heat for much longer, so it would be reasonable to find shelter, rest and recover. Ground weresloths are said not to be aggressive, but very violent if aroused. The party will approach the weresloth and try to persuade it to provide shelter. This will be resolved with a reaction roll. The best chances are for Cat, who will have a neutral +0 modifier. However, I will assume that the weresloth is reclusive for a reason, well, being a lycanthrope is good enough reason, and distrusts others, so I will impose a -2 penalty. GURPS Social Engineering has several more specific reaction tables, and one of them is Request for Aid. I roll 3D and get a 9, which is downgraded to 7 thanks to a penalty. This results in a poor reaction. The table reads, the request is denied, but the PCs can try again at -2. Bribes, players, and threats may work. But you know what? The party really needs shelter right now. If they stay in one place, they will risk dehydration. If they keep moving, they risk dehydration and heat stroke. Thus, out of desperation, they will have to attack the lycanthrope and take his stuff, including his dwelling. Even though this is merely one opponent, it still poses risk, as the entire party is encumbered and tired. I will resolve it using the regular GURPS combat rules with 1 second turns. I admit that I do not have a full stat block for this sort of an obscure monster, so I'll have to make something on the fly. First, I have to determine the starting form of the weresloth. In D&D, most lycanthropes have 3 forms: humanoid, hybrid and animal. There are some lycanthropes without the hybrid form, but this is not one of them. The weresloth obviously wasn't in his animal form, because that would make communication impossible. In its humanoid form, it can wear armor and wield weapons. It has a falchion, 2 javelins and medium leather armor. However, in hybrid form he has DR4 that can only be overcome with silver weapons, and can wear armor. He still can wield weapons, but the huge claws would impose bad grip, making it less effective. I think I'll roll 1d. On 1 to 4 he'll be in the hybrid form, and on 5 to 6 he'll be in the humanoid form. I roll a 5. The weresloth will be in the humanoid form. I guess this is less exciting, but possibly more dangerous due to proper weapons. The starting wilderness encounter distance in the jungle is 4d6 -1 yards. I rolled 6. Thus, I made a quick combat map. However, for some reason I cannot move my tokens in Foundry anymore, so you'll have to tolerate scribbles. I have had this problem before, but it fixed itself somehow. But anyway, there will be no surprise, because both parties were aware of each other. The turn order will be as follows: Cat, Ground weresloth, Setek, Nafera, and Arrow. On the first second, Cat steps sideways and aims his bow at the weresloth. The weresloth steps sideways too, breaking the line of sight with Cat. He's not stupid. Setek moves 3 yards forward. Arrow and Nefera move 3 yards slightly sideways to avoid forming a conga line. On second 2, Cat moves 4 yards forward. The weresloth takes a weight maneuver to swing his falchion at anyone who comes within reach. Setek does exactly that, does a move and attack, moving 3 yards forward. First, we resolve the weresloth's attack. He makes a successful attack, but Setek blocks successfully, but his shield takes some damage. Now it is at HP 12 out of 16. Now we resolve his attack. Well, his first roll is a critical failure that makes him drop his axe. Excellent. Arrow and Nefera move 3 yards forward. Second 3. Cat will stay in one place and use weight to shoot the weresloth if he comes out of his hut. The weresloth will do a committed attack determined to target Setek's right leg with a swing of his falchion. The interesting thing is that Setek cannot parry, his block is at -5 right now, and his dodge is at -2 due to encumbrance, and he cannot retreat. Setek fails to dodge and takes 4 points of injury. This is not enough to count as a major wound, but still sucks. Setek kneels on his own turn. Nefera and Arrow move forward, with Nefera entering Setek's hex. Second 4. Cat just stands there. The weresloth sees that the reinforcements have arrived and gets desperate. He performs a telegraphic attack at the neck of the kneeling Setek. Setek barely manages to interpose his shield, and the shield takes a lot of damage. Now it is at HP 6 out of 16. Setek then picks up his axe and stands up. Nefera does a move and attack to smack the weresloth with her mace. She lands a hit, and now the lycanthrope is at HP 10 out of 13. Arrow joins the fray doing a move and attack but misses. Second 5. Cat waits outside. The weresloth, if he were a regular person, would just surrender in this situation. But the description says that they are very violent once in combat. Let's make a morale check. The check will take a -2 for the PCs being intruders on the NPC's home turf, +2 for being outnumbered, and -2 for the weresloth being particularly aggressive. I roll 3D and get 11, neutral. This means that the weresloth will try to back off. Since he is cornered, this will be equivalent to fleeing. He will try to move through Setek. This calls for the evading rules. This is resolved as a quick contest of dexterity, with the weresloth's dexterity taking a -5 penalty due to Setek standing up. Encumbrance does not affect dexterity here, and though it feels that it should. Setek wins, so he stops the enemy from escaping. He then takes a step back and hacks at the weresloth's leg, but misses. Nefera takes a step and swings at the lycanthrope from behind. Since she started her turn in the side arc, this counts as a side attack. She misses. Arrow swings her mace too, but as an all-out determined attack, because she sees that the enemy is retreating. The weresloth is now at HP 5 out of 13. Second 6. Cat shoots the weresloth with his bow. He hits, but the arrow fails to penetrate the leather armor. I rolled another quick contest of dexterity for evasion, but the weresloth failed. Let's just assume that he fails to escape and gets pummeled to death here to save time. The weresloth doesn't have any particular valuables, and for now his gear will be stashed in his hut. Now it's time to rest. Let's assume that the weresloth had food and water reserves enough for 2 more days for our party. And would you look at that, the next day has weather that will not kill us outright. Let's grab the stashed loot and move back to town. However, instead of moving through the swamp, let's move through the northwestern plains. When moving there, I generate adjacent terrain with Appendix B, and apparently there is a village in the northern hex. Interesting, we'll probably pay them a visit later. While on the way to the town, I made a random encounter roll in the newly found jungle hex and got a 20, which indicates a valuable terrain encounter. I wrote D12 on the valuable terrain table on page 63 of Acts 2 Judge's Journal and get a 6, or. None of my characters have the prospecting skill, so the exact nature of the ore is unknown for now. Then, around 7 PM, the party arrives back to the town of Armagh. Now they have to rest and recover, or at least Setek has to, and sell loot. We'll see next time what kind of mess they will get themselves into.